Now, what do you get when you mix a dinosaur, time travel, and a goat? Well, I guess you get Palm Springs. Man, it is much weirder saying it out loud. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today I'm diving into the Hulu original comedy Palm Springs, starring Andy Samberg, who you might have heard of, and Cristin Milioti, who is a gem in this film. Man, there's so much to rave about with this movie, but before I dive into that, guys, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you tap on that bell as well so you don't miss out on reviews just like this. And also, if you haven't already, go ahead and like this video because it does a ton to help out the channel, and go ahead and comment down below and get loud. Let me know if you're checking out this movie this weekend, and if you already have, what you think of the film. Man, again, it is just such a surprise. I did not know what to expect with this film. I might have saw a trailer months ago, but boy is Palm Springs a treat. So I know the movie comes out July 10th on Hulu, but let's get into the plot just a little bit. Trust me, it's spoiler free, and you're going to want to keep it that way. Go into this movie pretty fresh. Everything I'm going to say to you now isn't going to spoil anything, but try to avoid some of the major plot points. The movie surrounds Niles, who is played by Andy Samberg, and he is just fed up with his girlfriend Misty, and he somehow stumbles upon the maid of honor at a wedding that they're both attending. Her name is Sarah. She's the sister of the bride, well, of course, and it is a funny movie about how two people can come together over a series of misfortunate events because, yeah, they're both stuck in a time loop. So think Groundhog Day, just more carefree and definitely weirder. So along the way, Niles and Sarah have to learn not only to cope with one another, but how the heck they're going to get out of this loop. So that is as much as I'm going to say about the plot, because Palm Springs, like I said earlier, is just such a surprise, and in the best way possible, and it really starts with the direction, the vision for this movie. Now, you might not know it, but this is actually director Max Barbakow's first feature-length film. He's done some short movies in the past, but the fact that Palm Springs is his first movie in Hollywood, that's so cool, because he has this delicate balance between comedy and romance. For the first 45 minutes of the film, it gets weird very fast, but it's also really funny. I found myself laughing at almost every single joke. And then in the second half of the movie, there's this romantic appeal, and I actually was engaged, and I thought I would be pulled out of the movie, but no, instead I was pulled into the film. And that's really a testament to the cast as well. And that really starts at the top with Cristin Milioti and Andy Samberg. Man, do they have an amazing chemistry on screen together. Not only do they mesh together perfectly, but their characters are somehow working in harmony, even though they really fall on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Niles is carefree and really just is fed up with everything. He has no morals, and he doesn't care about the world. You can find him in the first half of the movie just talking about how tragic everything is surrounding this wedding day. And then you have Sarah, who is trying to find herself. She doesn't really have an identity, and she always kind of feels like she's been put on the back burner, and you can tell she's quiet and almost like to herself. And I think what's cool is that while she's isolated, she ends up, I guess, locking eyes with Andy Samberg at this wedding, and they find each other, and it really is, it's beautiful. Wow, beautiful is not the word I thought I would use to describe this movie. So not only do they balance each other out perfectly, their comedic timing is just excellent. In this movie, the way they delivered jokes, that if I were to hear these jokes being told by anyone else, I might not laugh. But because it's Andy Samberg and Cristin Milioti, they both have such a very unique delivery. And I don't know what it is, but I just felt like smiling every time they spoke, even when it got kind of serious. You can just tell they're having a ton of fun on set, and it really translated well to the film. Palm Springs is only as good as these two leads, and boy are they great. Now, the supporting cast actually makes things really fun also. I mean, they're so darn entertaining. J.K. Simmons in any movie, well, I'm there because he's just such an excellent actor, but he plays this character named Roy who's trying to kill Andy Samberg. I'm not going to say why, but the ways he tries to kill his character just insane to me. And then there's Camila Mendes, who plays Tala, Sarah's sister, who's getting married, and she is just such a joy. I mean, I loved her in Riverdale. I don't watch the show anymore, guys, but I really like her in this movie. She just complements every single scene very well, and her husband is, well, the guy who plays Clark Kent. And the story is definitely unique enough to the point where when the time loop starts over, I'm always thinking, okay, what is next for these supporting characters? Are they going to do something different? Is Sarah going to act a little bit differently towards her sister? Is Niles going to be really weird with Misty? It's just so fun to watch unfold. And speaking of this time loop concept, guys, we've seen this before, right? Groundhog Day. But in Palm Springs, it's really cool because the story kind of keeps you guessing. There's enough curveballs present to where you start to think, whoa, I was surprised I didn't see that coming, and I like that this movie isn't as predictable as you might think it is. And instead of just focusing on the time loop every single moment of this film, I love that we get a deep dive into these characters and we get to see them grow together and apart. I mean, this is definitely not a movie that's gonna, well, provide a lot of levity in the second half. There are some moments that really cut you pretty deep. And actually, this time loop concept does wonders for character development. I mean, we see Niles with his dysfunctional girlfriend, Misty. And might I add, Meredith Hagner actually does a really great job in this film too. But they're both really dysfunctional and they cheat on each other. So there's nothing really to admire about their relationship. Now, when it comes to Sarah, she's, like I said, isolated. She doesn't really know who she is, and she's struggling to find identity and where she fits in with this family. But what's great is that we see the growth and maturity of her character over time. Man, I really just kind of want to go back and watch it just to study the characters. And there's little nuances in their acting that really just tells a story in and of itself. Man, it is just so good. So I know I'm gushing over Palm Springs, guys, but there are a couple of things that I didn't find the movie did very well. I mean, in the second half of the film, I know I said it earlier, but it provides this more serious tone. It's definitely romantic. It's not as funny as the first half of the movie. I'm glad it wasn't. However, the pacing was a little off. I felt like maybe it was disjointed in moments, especially when you're having down-to-earth conversations between two characters. It's a very important scene, and then they try to make a joke. And I'm like, okay, that pulled me out of the moment. I'd rather just kind of stay in that frame of mind, and then maybe the next scene can be followed up with some sort of levity and a lot of humor. But honestly, I would have rather them saved some of those moments and just, I don't know, kept it serious, because this movie does a good job when it is completely serious. And not all of the humor works all of the time either. I think that there are some jokes that just really don't resonate with me, and they found their way into this film. One of them being a certain male body part being tattooed on the backs of Niles and Sarah. It was in a quick montage sequence, so guys, it didn't last forever, but at the same time I was thinking, man, this is just not funny, and it's not as consistent with the rest of the comedy in this movie, which is actually pretty smart. But overall, you guys, Palm Springs is something to talk about. It is one of the best films of the year. Right now, it currently sits in my top 3. I think it's going to run away with the title of being best comedy of 2020, and I get it. So many people are going to say, well, there's not a lot of competition this year, but trust me, this is a movie that would have went punch for punch with some of the biggest movies that were even expected to be released in 2020. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, by the end of the film, I was so infatuated with Andy Samberg and Cristin Milioti's performances, and just how well they were put together, that I was rooting for them. I was actively saying, oh, good for them. That's amazing. But it was just so fun to watch, and the movie was funny. It provided a lot of, well, weird moments, but they worked somehow. It wasn't just weird to be weird, and I love that Palm Springs found that balance. And boy, man, I just cannot wait to see what's next for director Max Barbakow, and I think he's going to do a great job with whatever film he finds himself directing. And honestly, I just really want to see more of Cristin Milioti now. She is so fantastic as an actor, and this movie will hopefully get some awards consideration. I mean, Best Original Screenplay should be in its favor, especially in a year that is as light as this year. But man, I'm just so wowed by this movie. It might be the surprise gem of the year, honestly. Alrighty, you guys, well, I'm really excited for you to check out Palm Springs this weekend, and when you do, go ahead and get loud in the comments and let me know what you think of the film. Don't forget to also like this video, and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel and tap on that bell as well, just to stay up to date with anything new. It's going to be a fun week coming up. Now, this weekend, I might dive into some Christopher Nolan movies, because I gotta get prepared for this tier list that you guys are asking for, and I gotta finish up Umbrella Academy Season 2. There's so much to watch, you guys, so I'm gonna go get started. Again, thank you so much for checking out this review, and I'll catch you at the next screening.